Here's the stage 3 racing clutch that's going in there. Got it all mounted up now. There it is, bolted in. Bolts marked after they were torqued. Thread lock. I would highly suggest you use thread lock on anything inside any moving parts. So anytime you got something in a housing, I use thread locker when I can. Because if that thing's shaking loose, A, you're never going to know. And B, it's probably going to cause a lot of damage if it gets loose in there. And the reason I know this for sure is I didn't use thread lock on these bolts here, on my automatic, and one worked its way loose, and you would be amazed at what the damage it did when it went inside that gear right there. It did break the belt, but it did not break the belt before the bolt pressed itself into the gear, snapped the bolt in half, which is 14mm bolt, and then it broke the belt. And I imagine that's after the bolt tumbled around on top of the gear for a minute, because there's a bunch of tiny little pieces of metal all over the place. So I imagine it tumbled for a minute. And yeah, but you know, thanks to Toyota, I just ordered another new gear and ordered a real nice belt package from Amazon, and no problem. Non-interfering pistons, fantastic. If you're going to learn how to work on an engine, you want an engine to learn to work on, these are the engines you want to work on. Your 4A GE, your 7A GE. Toyota makes it so simple. I've messed with Hondas a little bit. You know, they seem to be pretty easy, but I mean, Toyota they really make it simple. I mean, for crying out loud, the head bolt specs are on the valve cover of this particular engine. Okay, there it is. Stage 3 clutch plate. There's the springs. You can see them in there, the yellow springs that were on it. I don't know if you can see if we get that camera up in there. No, that's about as good as it's gonna get. There it is. Flywheel, clutch plate, clutch cover, new throwout bearing, and the other video shows the inspection of the transmission. That shaft is tight. It is tighter than the video I watched earlier when the guy inspected his and he got the brand new transmission. It's tighter than the shaft on the brand new transmission that had a little play. Okay, so there you go. You can see it. There's the one of the fingers or wings or clutch brake, whatever, pads right there. There it is. White engine. White clutch. That's why I went white with the engine, honestly, because the clutch plate was going to be white. So it's like, hell with it. If they're brave enough to make that white, I was brave enough to try to make that white. It ain't working out too good. You know, I want to make sure everything's, surfaces are clean and proper and everything before I worry about the paint. So my intention is once I get that head on there, I'm gonna go ahead and tape it off and touch it up a little bit there, and where some of the solvents I used to do some last minute cleanup on the head chewed up the paint a little bit. Get that cleaned up. But I don't know, it don't look too bad, and it's a ceramic paint, so it's supposed to help distribute the heat. So we'll see how that works. And it comes off fairly easy. So I got these freeze plugs painted But brake cleaner tape breaks this down, so you can break that down real easy. You get that out of there. It shouldn't be too hard if you had one of those start leaking for whatever reason. Otherwise, I thought it might seal it there. And they were all inspected. I did not change them out. A lot of people might think I should have, but I gotta tell you, I didn't see anything on the back side, the front side, nothing. I tapped on them real good, thoroughly on all of them all the way around. I don't see anything wrong with them. And if they've been sitting in there rattling around for 549,000 miles, I imagine they're seated in there pretty good. And if they ain't leaking, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of my theory. Those are just meant to seal the fill plugs when they pour the cast. From what I understand, they're not there to relieve ice pressure when the block freezes. That's just what they call them, I guess, because they pop when the block does freeze.